Welcome back to Gentle Within. This season on this channel, we're talking about love, infatuation, and limerence. I truly believe understanding the concept of limerence can totally transform how you experience love, intimacy, and relationships in general. I'm actually still surprised how long it took me to come across limerence. So I went to therapy quite a few times in my late 20s and then also early 30s. And it was mainly because of relationship issues. So I tried, I think, 4 or 5 different therapists, and no one introduced me to this topic, which is a big shame. I came across limerence then in the second year of my master's, and only then very briefly, when we talked about non-chemical addictions. And then finally, a few months ago, because I started writing my master's thesis, which is on infatuation. This is when it occurred to me that for most of my life, when I thought I was madly in love quite a few times, I was actually just limerent. And this realization hit me like a ton of bricks. And I still cannot believe this topic isn't talked about more often. It's something that a lot of people experience very deeply, and we don't even have a word for. So I hope you waste a little bit less of your time than I have. So let's dive in. What is limerence? Limerence is an intense cognitive and emotional state of romantic infatuation and obsession with another person. People often mistake it for true love or chemistry or crush. But limerence is actually a distinct psychological state, and it operates like an addiction. So what are the main differences? We're going to talk about 5 of them. Number 5 is extreme intrusive thinking. If you're so obsessed with that person that they become the only focus of your life and nothing else matters to you, this is not just a crush. This is addictive behavior and limerence. In a healthy infatuation, you are excited about the other person, you spend a lot of time thinking about them, but you're still capable of maintaining some type of healthy balance in your life. You don't completely lose yourself just because that new person is so amazing. Number 4, an intense longing for reciprocity and validation. When someone rejects you or ghosts you, this is painful for everyone, but if someone's rejection pushes you into deep depression, burnout, and self-hatred, this is not healthy infatuation anymore. So if your whole life has just lost its meaning because of this one person, something else is going on. In that deep pain, ask yourself, where do I know this from? When did I first experience these feelings and thoughts? This is when the problem started, and not with this new person, who you probably wouldn't even like if you actually got to know them. Number 3, an emotional roller coaster. So this happens when your mood depends entirely on the actions of the other person. A small sign of attention brings extreme euphoria, while perceived rejection or radio silence causes despair, anxiety, or panic. Don't get me wrong, if you're in love, this person will have a lot of influence on your moods, but with limerence, this becomes extreme. And this is because your limerent object has become your main source of regulating something very painful in your psyche that you're not able or willing to confront. It's not just you really liking someone. Your limerence is maybe distracting you from something or covering something up or fulfilling deep psychological needs you're probably not aware of yet. Number 2, idealization. The limerent object is viewed as completely flawless. Any red flags are completely ignored, minimized, or rationalized as charming quirks. When you are in love, you obviously really like someone and like to focus on the positives, but there is still a part of you that is able to see some possible flaws and reflect on them. However, if you've only been on a couple of dates and all of a sudden you're pulled into a euphoric fantasy about how you two will travel the world together and make beautiful babies and they're everything you need, this is not a crush anymore. There should be at least a tiny part of you who is able to remain in touch with reality and that should be able to regulate these feelings of infatuation at least a little bit. And now, number one, most importantly, limerence is what happens when you become more attached to the fantasy version of a person inside your head than to the actual human being standing right in front of you. It's a coping mechanism where you prioritize maintaining a perfect relationship in your mind over dealing with the messy, unpredictable reality of a real relationship. When you're in limerence, you might find yourself getting frustrated or picking fights with someone because their real-life behavior doesn't match the script you wrote for them in your head. Or you might actively avoid getting to know certain parts of them because learning the truth would shatter the beautiful illusion you've spent so much energy building. Essentially, it's any time our craving for a specific fantasy and the high we get from that fantasy completely overrides our genuine willingness to see, know, and connect with a real person. If you keep picking people who are very unavailable, for example, already in relationships or living abroad, this is probably not a coincidence and it's something you should reflect on. Perhaps even though you say you want a relationship, you're not really ready for it. Because people are flawed and sometimes annoying. Relationships can sometimes be really boring, and other times they can really hurt you. And when you're in a very intimate relationship with someone, and when you've lived with someone for a long time, the masks will keep falling off, yours and your partner's. And what do you think will happen when all parts of you are exposed? All your fears, all your emotional states, reactions, impulses. This is what you need to explore, make peace with, and integrate into a coherent story. This is where true healing happens, and not in becoming obsessed with the fantasy world in which a perfect prince will intoxicate you with intense dopamine hits, keep validating you, convincing you how perfect you are, fulfill all your needs and wishes, and finally erase your fears of not being enough or being worthless or being broken. If these patterns sound a little bit too familiar, you should probably approach your relationship problems as addiction problems and not typical romantic problems. You use limerence not because you want real love or connection, but as a way to regulate yourself and resolve something in your psyche, just as some people use cigarettes or sex or shopping. We're going to explore this in future videos as well. Let me know what you think, if it resonates or not. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you very soon.